Most people believe brown eyes are just brown, one simple, common color shared by millions around the world. But what if that's not true? What if the eyes you see in the mirror every day are far more complex than you've ever imagined? The truth is, brown eyes are not a single category at all. There are actually 7 distinct types of brown eyes, each shaped by a unique combination of genetics, light, and biology. From deep obsidian tones that absorb nearly all light to golden honey shades that seem to shift depending on the environment, every variation tells a different story. Some are incredibly rare, almost never seen. Others are more common, yet still hide details most people never notice. And here's the fascinating part: each type comes with its own hidden advantages and subtle disadvantages, influencing not only how your eyes look, but how they function and how others perceive you. So before you assume your eye color is ordinary, take a closer look. You might be carrying something far more unique than you think. To understand why brown eyes can look so different from one person to another, we need to break them down into their 7 main types and the science behind them. These include amber, ash, brown, cognac, honey or russet, obsidian, espresso, and the starburst pattern. At first glance, they may all seem like simple variations of brown, but each one is created by a slightly different biological formula. The key player here is melanin, the pigment responsible for eye color. There are 2 main forms involved: eumelanin, which produces deep brown to almost black tones, and pheomelanin, which introduces warmer yellow and reddish hues. The balance between these 2 pigments determines whether your eyes appear dark, golden, or even slightly copper. But pigment alone doesn't tell the whole story. Light also plays a crucial role. In some eye types, like ash brown, the Tyndall effect comes into play. This happens when light scatters through the layers of the iris, muting warm tones and creating a cooler, grayish appearance. In lighter brown shades like honey, reduced melanin allows more light to enter and bounce off collagen fibers, producing a subtle scattering effect that gives the eyes a glowing, almost metallic look. Meanwhile, in very dark eyes like obsidian, the high concentration of eumelanin absorbs most incoming light, leaving little to reflect back, which is why they appear so deep and uniform. All of this is controlled at the genetic level, primarily by a region on chromosome 15 involving the HERC2 gene. You can think of this gene as a volume control for melanin production. When it's turned up, more pigment is produced, resulting in darker eyes. When it's turned down, lighter and more complex shades begin to emerge. This combination of genetics, pigment, and light interaction is what transforms brown eyes into a spectrum of unique and fascinating variations. Now comes the most interesting part: what your specific type of brown eyes actually means for you. Each variation carries its own hidden advantages and subtle drawbacks that most people never think about. Take obsidian eyes, for example. With their extremely high melanin content, they act like natural sunglasses, absorbing excess light and reducing glare. This can give you a real advantage in bright environments, helping your vision stay sharp even under intense sunlight. On the other hand, lighter shades like honey brown offer something completely different. Because they rely partly on light scattering, they can shift in appearance depending on the environment, looking deep brown indoors but glowing golden in sunlight. It's like having a built-in visual filter that constantly changes. Then there's the starburst pattern, which creates a striking contrast between the center and outer iris. This naturally draws attention to your eyes, making your gaze more intense and engaging in social interactions. But these benefits come with trade-offs. Eyes with less melanin, like honey or lighter brown tones, tend to be more sensitive to bright light, meaning you may squint more often or feel discomfort on bright days. Some rare shades can also be misunderstood. Unusual colors or patterns may make you appear more intimidating or mysterious to others. And for darker types like espresso, while they are rich and deep, they can sometimes look flat or lose detail in low lighting, hiding their true complexity. In the end, every type has its strengths and weaknesses, and discovering where you fall on that spectrum is what makes it so fascinating. What makes this even more fascinating is how each brown eye type quietly shapes your daily experience. If you have obsidian eyes, your high melanin levels act like built-in protection, helping you handle bright sunlight with less glare and sharper clarity. In contrast, honey-colored eyes offer a completely different advantage: their ability to shift tones depending on lighting. Indoors, they appear calm and deep, but under sunlight they glow with a warm golden intensity, almost like they come alive. Then there's the starburst pattern, which naturally pulls attention toward your eyes. The contrast between the dark center and lighter outer ring creates a visual target, making your eye contact feel stronger and more memorable. However, these strengths come with trade-offs. Lighter brown shades, especially those with less melanin, are more sensitive to light, meaning bright environments can feel uncomfortable. Unique patterns or rare tones can also lead to mixed perceptions, where others may see your gaze as mysterious or even intimidating. And darker eyes, while powerful, can sometimes lose their visible detail in dim lighting, hiding the intricate textures within. In the end, every type sits on a balance: part advantage, part limitation, and that's exactly what makes discovering your own so intriguing. But here's where it gets even more personal. Once you understand these traits, you start to see your eyes differently. If you have obsidian brown eyes, you're carrying one of the most efficient natural defenses against harsh light, giving you comfort and clarity where others struggle. If your eyes fall into the honey range, you have something far more dynamic: a color that adapts, shifting between soft brown and radiant gold depending on the light around you. And if you have the starburst pattern, your eyes are naturally designed to capture attention, making your gaze feel more intense and engaging without you even trying. Of course, every strength has its trade-off. Lighter tones often come with increased sensitivity, making bright environments feel overwhelming at times. Rare or unusual shades can also lead to mixed reactions, where people may not quite understand what they're seeing, interpreting it as mysterious or different. Meanwhile, darker eyes, while powerful and protective, can appear less detailed in low light, hiding the intricate patterns that make them unique. So the real question is, where do your eyes fall on this spectrum? And what hidden traits have you been carrying all along without even realizing it? What's even more surprising is that your eye color doesn't just affect how you see the world, it also shapes how the world sees you. Human perception is highly sensitive to subtle visual cues, and the eyes play a major role in forming first impressions. For example, rare shades like amber often come across as mysterious or even slightly intimidating, simply because they are so uncommon and visually striking. Darker eyes, such as obsidian or deep espresso, tend to be associated with strength, stability, and confidence, giving off a grounded and powerful presence. On the other hand, lighter brown tones like honey or soft brown are often perceived as warmer, more approachable, and friendly. This isn't random. The human brain is naturally drawn to contrast, brightness, and patterns. Eyes with strong contrast like starburst patterns capture attention more easily, making eye contact feel more intense and memorable. Meanwhile, softer, more uniform tones create a sense of calm and trust. These reactions happen almost instantly, often without conscious thought. That's why two people with different shades of brown eyes can give off completely different vibes, even if everything else about them is similar. Once you notice this, it becomes hard to ignore. Your eyes may be quietly influencing how people judge your personality before you even say a word. Here's where things get truly mind-blowing. Your eye color isn't always what it seems. In fact, what you see in the mirror is often a result of how light interacts with your eyes, not just the pigment itself. The iris is not a flat surface, it's a layered structure, and when light enters it, it can scatter, reflect, or get absorbed in different ways. This means your eye color can subtly shift depending on the environment, the angle of light, and even the time of day. Take honey brown eyes as an example. In low light, they may appear like a soft, standard brown, but under direct sunlight, the reduced melanin allows more light to penetrate and scatter across collagen fibers, creating a glowing golden effect. It can look like your eyes have completely changed color. On the other hand, ash brown eyes demonstrate the opposite effect. Because of the Tyndall scattering deep within the iris, warm tones are muted, and the eyes take on a cooler, grayish appearance, almost like a filter has been applied. This means your eye color is not a fixed label, it's a dynamic visual experience shaped by physics in real time. What people see isn't just your genetics, but how light chooses to reveal it. When you look at your brown eyes, you're not just seeing a color, you're seeing a record of human evolution. Eye pigmentation developed over years as a direct response to the environment our ancestors lived in. In regions close to the equator, where sunlight is intense and constant, darker eyes with higher levels of melanin became the dominant trait. This dense pigment acted as a natural shield, protecting the eyes from harmful UV radiation and reducing glare in bright conditions. It was a survival advantage, refined over generations. As human populations migrated farther from the equator into regions with lower sunlight, the need for such heavy protection decreased. Genetic variations began to appear, slightly reducing melanin levels and allowing lighter brown shades to emerge. These subtle changes weren't random, they were adaptations to new environments, balancing protection with the need to absorb more available light. So, whether your eyes are deep obsidian or lighter honey brown, they carry traces of where your ancestors once lived and how they adapted to survive. Your eye color is, in a very real sense, a living map of human history, written directly into your biology. In the end, your brown eyes are far more than just a simple color. They are a one-of-a-kind biological signature. No two irises in the world are exactly the same. The tiny details inside your eyes, from the patterns of crypts and furrows to the way light reflects across their surface, are as unique as a fingerprint. Even people with the same type of brown eyes still carry completely different internal designs that have never existed before and will never exist again. What you see in the mirror is a combination of genetics, physics, and thousands of years of human history, all layered into something incredibly personal. It's easy to overlook because it feels familiar, but once you understand what's really there, it changes how you see yourself. Your eyes are not ordinary, they are a living record of who you are and where you come from. So now the question is simple. Which type do you have? Are you the deep obsidian, the glowing honey, or the rare starburst pattern? Take a closer look, and when you find your answer, drop it in the comments below. I read every one, and you might be surprised how rare your eyes truly are.